Namaste, and welcome to Acharya Shunya's podcast, Shadow to Self, a show created to inspire you to step out of fear and darkness into a place of freedom and empowerment. In each episode, she'll explore humanity's deepest questions about your relationship with yourself and others, illuminated by the ancient and non-dual wisdom of the Vedas, Upanishads, and Bhagavad Gita. Keep listening.
Thank you for listening, not just with your ears, but with your inner being. And welcome to Season 2 of Shadow to Self, a podcast that doesn't sugarcoat the truth or dilute ancient wisdom into spiritual entertainment. I return to this sacred offering with a joyous heart. After completing Season 1, 46 episodes strong, gratefully received across 50 countries and ranked in the top 2.5% of all podcasts on Listen Notes. But numbers were never the goal. Liberation was, and it still is. This season we return to the flame. The theme is Yoga Burns Again. But why this theme? Why now? Because yoga, true yoga, was never meant to be lifestyle fluff. Not a serotonin boost, not a brand, not an accessory to sell leggings, smoothies, or false calm. Yoga was and is a blazing fire. A fire that burns the shadow. A fire that incinerates ignorance, not pampers the ego. A fire that cracks open the hardened self and exposes the eternal self. Let's stop pretending yoga is just a calming practice. It was never meant to soothe us into sleep. It was meant to wake us up. To burn big time, burn the false narratives we live inside. Burn the phantoms we mistake for self. Burn the suffering we cling to like identity. But alas, somewhere along the way, the fire dimmed. Yoga got diluted, packaged, commercialized, sold, used to numb instead of ignite, used to avoid the real inner work, used to pose instead of pierce. But now, yoga burns again. And here on this podcast, I will not sell you a practice. I will hand you a torch if you're ready. Because this path isn't cute. It isn't easy. It's not glamorous. It's fierce. It's real. It's sacred. And it's yours. And it's ours. It belongs to every heart that seeks. Yes, there is another way. There has always been another way. Thousands of years ago in forests, on riverbanks, inside burning hearts, Vedic seers, male and female, rishis and rishikas, beheld the flame. They saw yoga not with outer eyes, but with inner vision. They heard its crackle in silence. They sang wordlessly to its flames, and through its heat, the tapas, the sadhana, they saw liberation is not elsewhere, not in some distant heaven, not in fulfilling every worldly desire, but here, now, within. they name this path yoga. Yoga, not a method of stretching, but a method of seeing. Not a performance, a pathway. Not something to do to simply look good, but a fire to become and melt into who you always were. A fire to live, a fire to carry, a fire to remember who you really are. So if you are tired of walking around caked in the shadow, if you're done letting fear and conditioning play God, then stay with me. This may be the most important conversation of your life. Because it is not just a podcast. It is your return to the flame, from shadow to self. Yes, there is another way. There always has been another way. A return to the self is never lost, only veiled by the shadow. Yoga was born to burn the shadow, not to comfort it, not to coexist with it, but to pierce it with the light of eternal remembrance. Let us be clear. Yoga is not a personal choice. It is not a curated lifestyle to make you feel calm, centered, or whole. It is a cosmic law, a burning flame of truth, like gravity, like breath, like death and rebirth. There is no negotiating any of this. Likewise, yoga is. Yoga is not something we made. It is something that made us. It is a spiritual law revealed to the great seers, not invented by them. It is encoded into existence, a divine architecture for awakening. We do not get to redefine it, remix it, or reduce it, dumb it down, dilute it, package it, sell it, distort it. When we fixate on limbs and postures and forget the source, the fire goes out. Yoga becomes a form without flame, a husk, an illusion dressed in robes. Unless we turn on the light of the self, yoga remains unable to bring us to light. Then what is the true aim of yoga? To remind us of our oneness with Ishvara, a Sanskrit term which literally means the universal divine principle, the infinite presence, the cosmic mind, the source of infinity, intelligence, harmony, peace, joy, and sacred order. Ishate iti Ishvaraha, that divine order, that divine intelligence that dwells in every particle. And what is more, it is this Ishvara that dwells within each one of us as our true divine self. And the aim of yoga is to acquaint us with the self. God realization is the same as self-realization in true yoga. Yoga says the innermost light of your being is not separate from the divine light that illumines the entire cosmos. Isn't that beautiful? And to support this blazing return to the self, the ancient yogis revealed not one, but 4 sacred yoga pathways, each a torch in the darkness, each a path not towards performance, but toward remembrance. Bhakti Yoga, where devotion melts longing into courage and the heart becomes fearless in the presence of the source of love. Karma Yoga, where every action, mundane as it may be, is offered to Ishvara, the universal divine. Then that action becomes sacred and joy arises from rendering such actions. Jnāna Yoga, where piercing discernment reveals the eternal witness-like self within. It is none other but Ishvara. Upāsanā Yoga, where stillness becomes luminous, mantra, meditation, and inner worship ignites divine recognition from within. Each pathway is a medicine for the forgetting of the self. Each pathway peels back a different veil that the shadow is wearing. Each burns a unique facet of this dawn shadow. Each leads towards the radiant core of self, the divine within. But the world forgets, or worse, remakes these sacred fires in its own image. Today, Bhakti Yoga becomes a weekend sing-along. Karma Yoga becomes unpaid labor. Jnāna Yoga becomes merely a discussion of dry opinions. Upāsanā Yoga becomes a technique to calm the nerves and brain. The shadow has returned, dressed in light. But may I remind us all, these 4 yoga pathways are not hobbies, not weekend workshops. They are living fires, not formulas, pathways waiting for you to walk them. To walk them with awe, with surrender, with fierce devotion, with reverence for what was always meant to burn bright. This is why yoga burns again in me, in you, in all who are ready to awaken. Yoga was born to dispel the shadow, to free us of our imagined suffering and the phantoms that strangle us and suffocate us and keep us small and separate from God, creating our make-believe religions and forgetting the divine within. Oh, yoga itself has gotten seized by the shadow. What was truth became trend. What was transmission became a transaction. What was sacred wisdom? A fire lit to burn through lifetimes of ignorance. Passed from soul to soul, teacher to student for millennia, has gotten packaged, flattened, and sold for few dollars by the hour. Yoga has become performance, accessory, commodity, buried beneath layers and layers of commerce, branding, and ego. No wonder what remains in much of the world today, even India, is yoga in form but not in essence. We roll out mats but not meaning. We chant mantras but forget their purpose. Why are we chanting? We don't know. We speak of peace but avoid looking at the pain that we are holding and giving to each other by usurping yoga. We stretch the body limb by limb, vertebrae by vertebrae, but we leave the mind bound in chains. Yoga has lost its center today. But you don't have to. Yoga was never meant to be fragmented. It is not a marketplace of techniques. It is a wholeness, a remembrance, a reunion. It is a fire, and that fire still burns. And I'm here to remind you of that flame. With that real yoga, we can enter the inner silence, the cave in the heart where the self is met with its own grandness, its own divinity, its own blessedness. And here's the real good news. Yoga waits, unchanged, unbroken, unburned, waiting for those who can tell the difference, waiting for those who are ready to come home. I don't know, perhaps that is why I was born almost 6 decades ago in the home of a great self-realized yogi, a Mahayogi, my grandfather, my Baba, my Guru, Acharya Ayodhyanath. He was the son of another great master teacher and yogi, Acharya Shanti Prakash, who gave the world the Adi Bhagavad Gita. Who was the son himself of another great master, Acharya Baba Sadhu Sumanlal. And thus, my lineage stretches back countless generations uninterrupted in the holy city of Ayodhya in northern India, the birthplace of Lord Rama. Thanks to Baba, my Guru, my beloved grandfather. Before I learned yoga, I learned Viyoga, not as rejection, but as sacred discernment. Viyoga is another Sanskrit word. If yoga means union, then Viyoga means separation. And Viyoga is the fire that separates the real from the unreal. So Viyoga is really the flame of discernment, the ability to turn away from the superficial, the performative, the commercial, and bow only to that which is eternal. I learned to recognize what yoga truly is not before I understood what yoga truly is. And maybe this is why I must have this conversation now. Because I carry not only the teachings for 14 long years at the feet of my teacher, going through the scriptures of yoga word by word, verse by verse, chapter by chapter, whether from the Upanishads Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas or the Sutras. But I carry not only the teachings, I carry the fire that tells the difference. And I carry the capacity to ignite that fire in you. Because deep listening, known as Shravanam, is never passive. It is the first flame, the one that sets fire to the house of shadows. And this is why Season 2 was born. After recording 46 important and widely beloved episodes between 2020 and 2023, I thought I was done. Season 1 had completed itself. The arc felt whole. But apparently it wasn't. Because when I looked into the eyes of my students, from Tokyo to Toronto, Cape Town to California, I saw hunger. I saw a holy ache, a longing for truth that liberates, for yoga. Not theory, not wellness hacks, not spiritual paint jobs and veneers. Not what they found instead of yoga, spiritual starter kits, curated lifestyle bundles, 7-day, 14-day, 13-day yoga transformation promises, couple of weeks yoga training, teacher training for just a few weeks to become a teacher in yoga, and a sea of synchronized downward dogs, all promising transcendence, none pointing to the light, to the self. I knew then the world doesn't need more noise in the name of yoga. It needs yoga, not rebranded, but restored. And I'm not here to recreate yoga. I'm here to simply remember it fully, fiercely, and reverentially. Before recording this season, I returned to the root. I brought the 4 yogas to the forefront of my non-profit Vedika Global. I restructured our Vedic study circle to honor 1 yoga per year, so seekers could live the paths and study them 1 verse at a time with the depth that I have received instruction. This is the spirit in which Season 2 emerges, rooted in tradition, fired by clarity, humbled by love. And one more thing from my heart to yours. I intend to release new episodes twice a month, but some months there may be just 1. Because I'm not just talking about yoga. Recording this podcast is not a career choice to be penciled into my busy schedule. I'm living it. My time is well spent every single day. I not only teach this, but I immerse in Bhakti Yoga, falling in love every moment of my day with that which is love itself. I walk Karma Yoga, offering service in Vedika Global without attachment. I sit with insights of Jñāna Yoga, letting deep self-inquiry burn away illusion. I practice Upāsanā Yoga, entering stillness until my breath and the mantra become one. I do not ask you to believe me, but if you feel my words are real, then walk with me. This is not a podcast. This is a path. And as for the guests I'll be inviting this season, yes, some are really well known. They've written books, led movements, touched countless lives. And in their own heartfelt ways, they are each contributing to the return of light and the dissolution of shadow. But I invite them not as endorsements, but as conversation holders, not as authorities, but as fellow lights on the path. Each one brings a facet of sincerity, a unique voice in the collective remembering. But the discernment remains yours, and it is also mine. I welcome them because I see value, and because even as an Acharya, I honor dialogue. I remain rooted yet spacious, always ready to receive light wherever it shines. This podcast is a living inquiry, held in the hands of lineage, guided by inner fire. And if this conversation stirred something in you, I invite you to visit my website, acharyashunya.com. There you'll find my Vedic study circle, an online sanctuary for seekers like you who are looking for the real deal in yoga. Not the filtered, dumbed-down, diluted version. Not the commercial product, but the living fire passed down for thousands of years. Here you will meet my global family. Students just like you from over 21 countries, gathering year-round to study, reflect, and live yoga. Our curriculum rests on 10 pillars of study. And this isn't just a course, it's a calling, supporting real transformation. And before we part, let me leave you with this. In truth, the shadow does not exist. It has no weight, no substance. It is only the absence of light. And that light is the self. You got the self. Whether you call it God, Ishvara, Purusha, Spirit, pure being, it is the one light shining behind all names and forms, and you got the light. It's simply a matter of re-remembering it by walking the 4 pathways of yoga. You need help? Help is on its way. You're already helping yourself by tuning in. It is because of that remembering that you are here. This is not entertainment. This is not even inspiration. This is the return. Yoga burns again, not as trend, not as theory, but as a fire to walk through. And if you let it, that fire will take you from shadow to self. Until next time, this is your host, Acharya Shunya.
If you loved this episode, there's a way to show your love. Just go to acharyashunya.com and make a donation to support the production of this podcast. You can also rate, review, and share this episode with others. You're also invited to tune in to Acharya Shunya's next Global Satsang live on YouTube every month. Browse her online wisdom school for her latest course offerings, and thanks for listening.